Hi, this is Arthur, and you're listening to Elad Gross on Two Bots Talking Politics. Don't forget to vote.
Hey everyone, this is Kelly with Two Broads Talking Politics, part of the Demcast Podcast Network. I'm on with my co-host Sophy. Hey Sophy.
Hey Kelly.
And joining us today is Elad Gross, who is running for Attorney General in Missouri. Hi Elad.
Well, hi.
So we like to start off with, the really easy question of what's your background and why are you running?
Yeah, so I am from Missouri. I'm born and raised here, been here just about my whole life. And I used to be an assistant attorney general for the state of Missouri. So I was in charge of a pretty big docket of cases, one of the busiest in the state, and I did trials all over the place. I was also involved in a lot of special projects for the office and a lot of government efficiency work, all this other stuff. But I've also been involved with working with kids through the education system here in Missouri for the last 13 years. I run a nonprofit that teaches kids the power that they have to lead. So we do free summer programming for kids in St. Louis City, and I've been doing that for quite some time now. I've also served as a special public defender for the state of Missouri, where I worked with our very, very overburdened public defender system here, and I represent a young lady who was wrongfully held in one of the worst jails in the country that's located here in St. Louis. I mean, I decided to run because, as you can probably tell from all of these things I'm telling you right now, we have a lot of things that are not working very well in our state. And that's true in our education system. It's true in our justice system. It's true in so many of our systems that we have so many dedicated people who are working on who really want the best for all of us. And unfortunately, one of the big reasons that's not happening is our government is not serving us. It's serving people with a lot of money and power and lawyers. And I've been one of the lead investigators in the country on going after government corruption and dark money in our politics. And we need an attorney general in Missouri who's going to stand for us in our state and is also going to take these people on all over the country. So that's what I intend to do. Obviously, I've got a whole bunch of other plans for the office, and we released pretty detailed plans. We just released one this weekend about ethics reform. So I'm happy to talk really about any of the aspects the attorney general touches on, which happen to be quite a bit. So it's a very important office in our state.
Yeah, it sounds like it. So I know you've been doing a ton of just going around the state and talking to people. What are you hearing from them? Do people think much about the attorney general race, except when they're actually voting? And what are the issues and things that they're really concerned with?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, so far in Missouri, I have traveled quite a bit. I actually just surpassed 30,000 miles today, traveling in less than a year, and I've had about 267 meetings, I think now, again in less than a year. So yeah, I've actually gotten to meet with quite a few people. I also talk to folks, through social media, on the phone. We want this to be a very inclusive campaign, so we actually do have advisory boards for the campaign that anybody can join. They can share their ideas for our state. In fact, I was just a few minutes ago, I was talking to one who is helping us with our anti-violence program that we're going to, our plan that we'll be publishing pretty soon. So, I mean, I have been hearing a lot of issues around the state that maybe folks don't know touch on the Attorney General's jurisdiction, but they want to see fixed. And that includes issues with violent crime and violence in general in our state, of which there unfortunately has been quite a bit. There have been issues around health care and whether we're protecting folks or not who need access to health care. We've got a big Medicaid expansion effort right now in our state that we're trying to get on the ballot to ensure that everybody, even if you don't have money, can still access health care, which one would think would be a no-brainer, but unfortunately we have to go to the initiative petition to get that one done. And there are issues around consumer protection. Think about, these folks who call your phones or trying to scam you, like that is part of the Attorney General's office too. So there are a whole bunch of different issues. I also think that the Attorney General's office should have a civil rights division. Now, we've had a lot of talk here in our state about people being discriminated against for one reason or another, and there being a lack of protections for them in the workplace. And I think that we really need to make sure that everybody can participate in our system, and that includes in our economy, in our neighborhoods, our families, everything else. So I think that should be a big role the Attorney General plays as well.
So you had mentioned dark money earlier, and I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about that. Like, what is dark money? How does it work? And sort of like, what's the effect on Missouri, and what do you want to do about it?
Yeah, dark money is the worst. Dark money consists of these anonymous campaign contributions that flow usually in the millions and millions of dollars into our political system. And the problem is we can't see who the donors actually are. Normally you'll see, maybe a TV ad that says paid for by Americans for amazingness or something. And you go look up that group, and maybe you'll see the name of an attorney, if you're lucky, and a P.O. box in Washington, D.C. And you will not get any information about who is actually funding this thing from either of those sources. So we had a major problem with that here in Missouri, which actually led to me doing a lot of this anti-corruption investigation that I'm still litigating in court today. But we had a dark money spending bonanza in our state in 2016 on our local and state elections. And this led to some folks getting elected, especially our last governor, getting elected to office because they had access to all of this dark money. And when they got into office, they started using even more of the dark money. They would start their own nonprofit organizations to funnel all of this money into their pet project. Well, in the end, as some folks do know, because we made national news for this, our governor resigned. And he resigned the day that his own party, members of his own party, were investigating him from our state house. And they said, we need to see the names of these donors. And they went to a judge and they said, Judge, this looks like pay to play. We've got to see it. And the judge said, yes, I'm going to order them to release the names of their donors. And 2 hours later, our governor quit. So I thought it was wrong that the investigations ended at that point. So I started asking questions as much as I could as a private citizen under some of our statutory laws. And unfortunately, I have had to litigate that on my own with volunteer help since then. Our Attorney General has not done anything to investigate dark money. Literally just a few days ago was caught taking dark money from somebody that he was investigating and let off the hook from who stole a whole bunch of tax credits in our state. And so it's a big problem. And the problem is that these kinds of expenditures where we don't see who is buying our government, who is trying to influence our decision-making, it is literally breaking our democracy, and it is demolishing people's confidence in our system. And we're having a lot more people check out because they don't even think their vote matters. And to a large degree, as this stuff continues to happen, they're correct. And so I think that one of the biggest focuses of this campaign and of my administration after we win will be to eliminate dark money and to focus on campaign finance and ethics reform in our state. We desperately need it here and really around the country.
What are the things that the Attorney General can do in regards to dark money as opposed to things that would need to be done through the legislature?
Mm-hmm. So the legislature can pass a law banning dark money, and that has been done in a few states. Montana is one of the notable ones. There was actually a documentary called Dark Money. I mean, if you all haven't seen it, it's definitely a great watch. I got to meet the director and talk to some folks about it. But in Missouri, at least, that's not entirely necessary. It would definitely help and would set the law pretty clear. But the Attorney General today has the authority to regulate and police fake charities, nonprofit organizations that are not abiding by Missouri's law. And Missouri law actually said that you cannot do something to hide the names of political donors. It literally says that. And so we are not enforcing the law. And that is a decision that comes straight from the Attorney General's office. There's some involvement by local prosecutors, but when you have an issue like this that's so big and oftentimes so hard to track, you need an institution like the Attorney General's office to actually do its job and protect us. So today, the Attorney General could investigate these nonprofits. He can actually shut them down if he wants to. He can take them to court. He can prosecute them criminally and civilly. And none of that has happened. I made several referrals to the Attorney General's office over these issues with our last two Attorneys General. One of them was only there briefly before he ran for Senate and won. So he left, and the new one is appointed. But neither one has chosen to act on dark money in our state. So we are left with a situation in Missouri where anybody can do any of this dark money stuff, so they know they can get away with it. And so obviously I think that should change. Yeah.
You had mentioned before that scam calls were something that was coming up when you were talking to people. Can you talk a little bit about what the Attorney General can do to fight scam calls?
Yes. So our Attorney General's office, and there's also a national version of this, has what's called a no-call list. And this was developed in the 90s, I believe, by a former Attorney General. His name was Jay Nixon. He went on and became the governor of the state, too. But that, there were a lot of calls that were coming in, mostly on landlines at the time, and they ended up developing a list that told telemarketers, hey, you cannot call it a violation of the law if you do. It was an attempt to stop all this harassment, all this volume coming in. Well, now we're at a point where over time, things change, technology changes, and so folks on our cell phones all over the place were inundated with these fake calls. And they're usually trying to get money out of you. Some of them are even live people who are doing it. In Missouri, I've heard of instances, many of them, where now they're so sophisticated they pretend to be your utility company. It actually comes through on your caller ID as if it is coming from a utility company. There was one not long ago that was coming from a federal court. It said it was coming from that court, and it was somebody pretending to be a relative saying that they were in trouble and needed the money immediately in order to get out of jail. And so these are all scam calls. The problem is right now, we could eliminate a lot of these calls, and that comes through big telecom and their decisions if they're going to do it or not. So if you've got a carrier, usually a major carrier, you can actually pay more per month to get them to start blocking a lot of those calls. And now there are some of these carriers, I know a few of them, that are starting to say on your caller ID, telemarketer, potential spam caller, whatever it is. And we need that process to accelerate, not just to those who have the money to pay for it, but to all of us. And the technology is developed. It's developing a little bit because it's got to evolve over time. But the problem that we have is that our Attorney General in Missouri, at least, is not standing up very strongly to get telecom. Instead, there's some kind of statewide agreement where it's like, hey, please do this and do it at some point. So they agree, of course, yeah, sure, there's no timeline, there's no requirement for us to do it. I think that we need to take a bigger stance on telecom. A lot of these corporations that are taking advantage of our communities all over our state, we need an advocate who's going to do that at the Attorney General's office. So that stuff does fall under the consumer protection powers of the Attorney General in Missouri as well.
So this is a race that's run every 4 years, and 4 years ago, it was a fairly lopsided race. I think the Republican got about 59% of the vote. What do you see happening this time around? What is your path to victory in this race?
Yeah, well, we are doing this very differently than statewide races have been done here, at least for some time. So right now I am in Jefferson City, which is our state capital, and I'm getting out of the 267th meeting, which was a hearing on public safety, because we've had a lot of violent crime occurring in our state. We have a major drug problem in our state, and there were many people here in the Capitol who were here to discuss this issue, and so I was there learning. Like I said, I've traveled a whole lot. I've been meeting with a whole lot of people. And I am the one statewide person who's focusing a lot of effort on meeting folks, getting them to buy in, showing them the path that we have to make our state work for us, and truly making our government representative of the people in our state. And the only way that we can do that is we have to go meet people and listen. So I have talked to folks, not only folks who are Democrats, I've spoken to Republicans, I've spoken to independent party folks, people who have never been involved in this process before. We are oftentimes like the first time they've ever donated money to a candidate. I cannot tell you how many folks who have told me that, who are part of this campaign and volunteering with us. We are super focused on making this a grassroots campaign that gets the job done, not just, through words and TV ads and making it look flashy, but it actually builds community in our state and gets things done all over our state. So we have been working a lot with state representative candidates. We've been working a lot with community members on projects that are important to them. And we highlight people wherever we go. And so we've gotten a lot of energy behind this campaign. I mean, no one knew who I was. I was working in the office here and, going and teaching kids. But statewide, a lot of folks didn't know who I was. And so we have built this from zero to a point where people are super excited about this campaign and see this as the future for campaigning in Missouri and hopefully in other places too. Like, we'll pull this off and then we'll show other people how to do it too. But it's basically just doing what government is always supposed to do and just representing people and actually caring about what they have to say. And we're getting a lot more people who have checked out to buy back in. And that's what makes me really excited. I'm just so excited to see how many people are so interested in getting involved in their government, who never had thought they would do that in their lives.
Is there anything else that you would like to make sure we talk about, Elad?
I think that there are a number of folks who, I was just mentioning this too, who feel really dejected and they feel, oh man, like our country is just on this bad path and never imagined that we'd be here. Like, what in the world is going on? I highly encourage folks who feel like that to take a moment and maybe turn off the TV or Facebook or whatever it is and go to a local meeting. Like, go meet people, go listen to people, go talk to them. Some of the best conversations I've had are with people who I disagree with on so many issues. But when you find out that there are so many more things we agree on, there are so many more things that we share, and that people are willing to go and work for it, they just need to know how. So I want to share this with folks who are out there, no matter where you are or where you're listening. If this interests you even a little bit, like if you're just sitting there and you're like, I would like to do so, I just don't know. I don't really, I don't feel comfortable reaching out. Please reach out to me. Like, my cell phone number is on my webpage right now. And I want you to call, text, whatever the heck works for you. But I will tell you right now, this has been some of the most rewarding work that I've done. And, I feel just so strongly that we have such potential in this country to do so many things for the people who are here and for so many people who live abroad too. And I've got a huge amount of optimism, and I would love to share that with anybody who doesn't. So please call me anytime.
All right. So we will be sure to put a link to your website and maybe just put your cell phone number up on our website too.
Please do. Yeah, absolutely. I just gave it on a radio station the other day. So yeah, no, the more the merrier, please.
I love it. Are there other ways that you'd like to make sure that people get involved in your campaign?
Well, the biggest help that we can get is folks spreading the word, and you all have been wonderful. Your organization is great. I'm so excited to see all the work that you all are doing. And a lot of folks, especially on Twitter, have found me as a result. So sharing is so important, making sure that the message is getting out there. That's really the biggest thing that any campaign has to do to be successful. Getting folks involved is a really big passion of mine. And, part of the way that some folks do that, they donate, they volunteer their time. So there's lots of ways to get involved. We try to be really creative with it, too. And you can ask any of the hosts who have had me over and do community events or whatever else it is. We always try to make it fun so that we can engage people who aren't necessarily always a part of this process, who might want to play a game versus go and talk about politics. Oh, we'll get there, too. Don't worry. We just got to get them in the room. So, I think there's a ton of ways for folks to get involved, and you can do all of that through our website, or, like I said, just come again. I'd be happy to get you plugged in.
Okay, last question. What's the story behind your Twitter handle?
Oh, Yeah, you know what the real story is? Okay, so back in the day when there was AIM, right? And everybody had like their own instant messaging and everything. And I was looking, and, you know, my mom cracked a whole lot of jokes, and yeah, I'm not very tall, so I was like, you know what, I'll be Elad. And Elad was taken. I'm like, oh, you know what, I'm big Elad. You know, I've been weightlifting. Maybe I'll get a little bit bigger. It'll be cool. Somebody had taken big Elad from me. I don't know who it was, but they already took it. So on AIM, I was bigger Elad. And when Twitter came out and I had the opportunity to be big Elad and claim that as my own, I was very happy to take it. And, you know, I think it's part of, you know, I think that the more that we engage with people, and oftentimes humor is a really good way to do that, we can bring more people in. We can have a good time doing it, you know, and this, in America, the work, we should be having a good time doing it. There will be times where we're uncomfortable, but yeah, I'm big a lot. Maybe not in stature, but certainly the heart's there, and work ethic too. So happy to have it.
All right. I love it. All right. Well, Elad, thank you so much for joining us on your very, very busy trip around your state over and over again.
Absolutely. Anytime. Anytime.
And so thanks so much. And we will put up information so people can find you and call you on your cell phone.
Okay. That sounds good. I appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to Two Broads Talking Politics, part of the Dimcast Podcast Network. Our theme song is called Are You Listening? Off of the album Elephant Shaped Trees by the band Immunuri, and we're using it with permission of the band. Our logo and other original artwork is by Matthew Weflin and was created for use by this podcast. You can contact us at twobroadstalkingpolitics@gmail.com or on Twitter or Facebook at Two Broads Talk. You can find all of our episodes at twobroadstalkingpolitics.com or anywhere podcasts are found.